So in this video, we're going to talk about circles. And a circle is, by definition, any point or any particular figure that has a center and then has a radius where all the points are equal distance from the center based on the radius. And so the equation of a circle looks like this, where you have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And the values of h and k, the value of hk, notice that in the equation they're negative, is minus these values. So when we pull them out, we always have to flip their signs. We always want to flip their signs. So when you take, for instance, here's an example. If we have the equation of this circle, x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared, or y plus 2 squared, that equals, let's say that's equal to 25. And when we look at something like this, again, we're going to identify, the first thing we're going to do is identify h and k. And in this particular equation, my h, remember, you flip the sign. So if this is negative 3, when it comes out, it's going to be positive 3. And if this is a positive 2, well, when we flip it, it becomes a negative 2. So the center of this circle, the center, that's what we're going to call this right here. This is our center of the circle, is always going to sit at hk. And then from hk, from our center, the other points are all equal distance, an infinite number of points that are equal distance around that. And it's based off of this value of the radius of r squared. And so if I look here, I have a value of 25. If I want to know what the radius is, well, this is r squared. So they get just the radius r. R is equal to the square root of 25, or in this case, r equals 5. And so what this tells me is that I have a circle at a center of 3, negative 2, and that because it's equal distance, the radius is r equals 5, I can actually graph that circle. And to graph this circle, what I do is I plot my point first, so I'm going to plot 3, negative 2, which is here. And then all I have to do is go in the direction 5 in one direction, 5 all the way around the circle. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a point. I'm going to go across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a point. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a point. I'm going to go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so here's another point. And so when I graph my circle looks something like this. And that's not a very good circle, but that's what circles do. So they're equal distance from the point. And so on this particular equation, so now when we look at this particular equation, notice that my equation is this right here. X squared plus y squared plus x plus 4y plus 4 is equal to 0. Well, the problem with this particular equation is that it's not written in standard form. This is what we call the general form of a circle. This is the general form. And if I want to write this in standard form, which is, remember, standard form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared, that equals r squared. I have to do some rearranging. And I'm going to do a process that's called completing the square. I want to complete the square to do this. So I'm going to have to use the process called complete the square to get this. And this is an algebraic technique that we can use to actually get perfect squares, which is essentially what circles are. They're perfect squares that we're calculating. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange the variables to where I want all of my x's put together. And then I want all of my y's put together. And then this constant form out here, I'm going to have to move it over. So when I set something up like this, it's going to look like this. I have x squared plus x put together. Then I have plus y squared plus 4y put together. And then I have to move that constant over. So remember, when this constant gets moved over, I'm really subtracting 4 to move it over here. So it becomes a negative 4 over here. So here's your first step in completing the square. You want to get the variables that look alike together. Then all I'm going to do is focus on just these right here, on these variables right here, on the x's. And I'm going to do this. To complete the square, we look at the number in front of this x. that number is understood to be a 1. And so the way the square works when you complete it is you take that number, we call that number b generally, we say b equals 1. What we're going to do is cut b in half. So we're going to say b divided by 2 is equal to 1/2 here. And then we're going to square this value. We're going to square this value. And so when we square that, we get 1/4. And so what that really means is now when I write this, I'm going to get x squared plus x. And what I'm adding to that is going to be a 1/4. Now, if I add 1/4 to that part of the equation, though, if I do that to that part of the equation, I also have to add it to the back because I want to balance the equations in math. So I'm going to add a plus 1/4 there. And then over here, do the exact same process. So we have plus, and again, I'm going to look at just these terms, y squared plus y. So here, my b is equal to 4. I'm going to cut that in half, so that's equal to 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then I'm going to add, or I'm going to square that value next. So I'm going to square this, so 2 squared is equal to 4. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write this as y squared plus 4y. And I'm adding this 4 on here. And because I added it there, I have to add it over here as well. And so now from this process, what's going to end up happening is we're going to complete the actual square by factoring. And so when you factor these are now, this term right here and this term right here are now perfect squares. So I have the term here, x plus whatever I put down here for b over 2, or whatever I put down for b divided by 2 is going to go right there with whatever this sign is. So my b over 2, if you look at this one right here, my b over 2 is 1/2, so that's x plus 1/2 squared. And then the other part would be plus, again, y. And again, whatever I put over here, when I put b over 2, which is a 2 here, that's y plus 2 squared. And that's equal to, if you look here now, we see that the -4 and +4 cancel, so you're left with that equal to just 1/4. And if you notice, this is in my form, standard form, where I have a center at h and k, and I have a radius at r squared. So my center here, my center is at, remember, flip this sign, that becomes a -1/2. Flip this sign, that becomes a -2. And then my r value to find r, well, r is equal to the square root of 1/4. Square root of 1/4 is just square root of 1 over square root of 4, which is just 1/2. So your r is 1/2, your center is at -1/2, -2. So when you plot that, you have -1/2 on your x, -2 on the y, so it looks something like this. -1/2, -2. And then it's stretched out by 1/2. And notice that these are in half increments, by the way. So here, 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 and here. So you have a small circle, but this is your circle.